Hello, Sina, and thanks a lot for finding time for me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Today we are talking with Signe Hansen, certified style coach in Denmark and useless jewelry brand owner and the biggest YouTube channel about minimal lifestyle and conscious wardrobe owner. Signe, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Signe, how about we start with the introduction of you? Tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
Well, my name is Signe, and like you said, I have my YouTube channel called Use Less, and I have a blog and an Instagram as well. And I promote a minimal lifestyle. I promote sustainability, mostly built around fashion, but also lifestyle in general. And I live in the southern part of Denmark in a small city just above the German border with my husband and our two fur babies. And then we just had a daughter back in October 2020 as well. Um, yeah, and I used to work as a commercial fashion designer. So I finished a technical fashion education back in 2012, and then I worked a couple of years as a designer in the commercial fashion industry. I've always been really into styling and fashion and just expressing myself through clothing and styling. So yeah, I pretty much knew pretty early on in my teen years that's what I wanted to do. But then after working a couple of years as a designer, I just found out that, that way of working with commercial fast fashion just wasn't at all for me. So I left my position as a designer, and then I had some other jobs along the way. I took I've taken a couple of other educations ever since. And then I started my online journey back in 2015. And then I guess the rest is history. Then I've been doing this ever since.
Wow, that's such a journey. But I can hear that you had this idea deep down inside of you. You just needed to clarify and come to the core of yours and actually nurture that more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's often what happens when you get your first job. And you get some experience, you figure out what kind of direction you want to pursue, I guess. And I just found out that it's just at the time when the documentary called The True Cost and the documentary Minimalism, they were on Netflix, and I watched both of them. I read a couple of books as well about both topics, and I just found out that again, I just didn't want to contribute to fashion the way I thought I would to start off with. I wanted to do something more meaningful.
That's really nice. Can you tell us what is style and what is fashion to you then?
Um, well, to me, it's like at least it's become more of it's sort of a sense of well-being to me, because I feel like it's fashion and style is of course something that we work with on the outside of our bodies, but it really is something that it goes much deeper than that, and it's very connected to who we are as people. um I don't remember, I think it was a scientist called, I think his last name is Galinsky, I can't remember his first name, but he said that when we put on our clothes, we simply become the person that we are. We become who we are when you put on the right clothes. And I really believe that's true. So again, I feel like when you dress in something that makes you really happy and something that is truly your style, you get a sense of more well-being as well.
That is true. So what are the projects that you're currently working on?
Well, I have my jewelry brand. So I have like this it's a collaboration with a German jewelry brand called Stillness. So we make ethically crafted and made to order jewelry. So I have that, and then of course I make my online content. So I make YouTube videos, I write blog posts, I have an Instagram as well. And then because last year I became a certified style coach in Copenhagen, so I also launched a style course on my website just for people who feel like they want more, because obviously I create a lot of like free content. Um, but the course is just for the people who need to get some extra help and who would like my guidance a bit more. So in terms of building a lasting and sustainable wardrobe that they can really be happy about.
Yes. Would you say that the course you took for styling, was it with a focus on sustainable wardrobe, or was it a general styling course, but you put your own perspective and the spin on it?
I definitely put my own spin on it because I have a brand library, and I have a lot of like knowledge in terms of materials and wardrobe care. And the course that I took was more, like you said, based on styling. So more like different tools that you can use. The woman who launched the course, or who has the course, is she used to be a personal shopper for many years. And now she educates people like me into becoming style coaches. So that's again the reason why I wanted to become a style coach and not just a stylist, is because when you're a coach, you're also working with people, and you're working with personality and individuals. And again, I feel like fashion and styling is really closely connected to who we are as people. So it's really important to me that I help my clients find exactly what they're looking for, and something that makes them feel good on the inside as well.
I think it's very rare that we could find stylists and style coaches who would be focusing on the minimal wardrobe and capsule closet. And talking about
Mm.
these two concepts, can we say they're the same?
Yeah, I would say that in a sense they are the same, because the whole idea is to only have things in your wardrobe that you're actually happy about wearing. And I feel like that applies to whether you're having just a regular minimalist wardrobe and you have a certain number of items you want to have in your wardrobe, or if you have a capsule wardrobe. And I feel like the number of clothing you have in your wardrobe will vary from person to person, because we're not living the same lives. And I feel like it's very important that you always build your wardrobe around the life that you're living. Otherwise, it might become wasteful, and you'll have a lot of clothing that you won't even be able to wear. So I feel like they're very close connected.
Mm-hmm. What would you say, as a general advice, what could be a good number of clothes to have in a capsule wardrobe?
Um, Again, I feel like that's very individual. I've always, because when I started, I followed some of like the biggest capsule wardrobe bloggers at the time, Unfancy. I'm sure you've probably heard about her. And I think she moved away from capsule wardrobes, and she just took the things that she learned from having a capsule wardrobe. But I think when I started following her, she had this number of like 37 items. There's also Project 333. She has 33 items that she has in her wardrobe. But I feel like it's always a good idea to, if you're completely lost, I feel like it can be a good idea to try and pursue some kind of a number, just to bring down the amount of clothing you have in your wardrobe. But again, I feel like the number is not important. The important thing is that the things you have in your wardrobe represent you, and that you actually get to wear everything that you have, based upon the life that you're living. So of course that will look very different from person to person.
That's true. And then, just so that we could understand the concept better, are we talking about some basic items that the person has to identify and keep it as a core of their wardrobe, or are we talking about all different types of clothing?
Usually I at least for myself as well, and also when I'm out working with clients, I always I feel it's very important that you identify your like the core of your wardrobe. And I feel like there's like a misconception when as soon as you say basics, people think that it has to be a white shirt and a white t-shirt, and it has to look a certain way and look very minimal and very monochrome. And I feel like that's a huge misunderstanding, because your basics could look different from mine. The basics are just it's the core of your wardrobe, and it's items that you tend to reach for over and over again, and that you can wear basically with anything you have in your wardrobe. But in any case, I'd always recommend people to find their basics and find the core of their wardrobe, because that is probably I always try when I help people trying to evolve their style or find their style, it's pretty much always the core that is like the biggest part of their wardrobe, and then they might have other style directions they like to pursue as well on the side. But the core of their style is their basic wardrobe too, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. How would you advise someone to start identifying the core or building the capsule wardrobe?
Again, when I do my course, I have like some different worksheets and some different assignments that I make, people make in order to find their style. But one of the things that I always advise people to do is sort of to make a life diagram. So sort of part your life into different categories so that you get a better overview of what kind of activities you have in your life, because that way you'll also see better what kind of clothes you need for the different activities. So that's definitely the first thing that I would advise people to do. And then, have a look at your wardrobe and take out all of your favorite pieces, the pieces that you tend to reach for over and over again, and that you just, you feel like wearing all the time. And then sort of figuring out what kind of things that they have in common, all of these things, because that will also help you find out what your style is. So again, you might have one huge part of your wardrobe that for me, for example, my biggest like the core style that I have is casual. So that's definitely the biggest part of my wardrobe. And then I also have other style directions. I have some items that are more feminine, and I have some items that are more classic, for example. So it's kind of taking out all of your favorite items and putting them into categories like that.
Mm-hmm. And then what would you suggest to do with the rest of the clothes, this part that rarely gets worn?
It kind of depends. Like, you definitely have to figure out why you're not wearing those clothes. It could be that it's a fit that you just don't find flattering for you, or you don't like the material, or you definitely have to part the things that you don't like, and be honest to yourself and get rid of those, basically. And if it's clothing that you just don't wear that often, but you actually still love wearing, then maybe you could store them away. That's what I do. For example, I don't have my summer clothes in my wardrobe during the winter time, for example, but that doesn't mean that I don't like these items. And also sometimes we just need a break from certain items in our wardrobes for one reason or the other. So it's always a good idea to just store them away wherever it's possible to you, and then bring them back out when you feel like giving your wardrobe a refresh, or just if the seasons change and you want something new to happen, you can sort of shop your own wardrobe.
Totally. I think I do the same thing for my own wardrobe. And sometimes I would be so sure that I already threw away a t-shirt or a sweater. And I would revise my wardrobe, the storage part of my wardrobe at a later point in time. And I would be so surprised that I still have the item.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I would be like, okay, I'm actually really shopping my own wardrobe.
Yeah. It's funny that you can trick your own mind like that, but yeah, it works.
It definitely works. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have a couple of friends of mine who would say that I just don't know how to choose my own style and how to dress myself. It's really hard for
Yeah.
me. What would you say for those people? How can we help them?
Well, for me, I would say if you're completely lost, I would probably get some help. I mean, that's definitely what I'm here for as well. And obviously you can help yourself along the way, and you can watch a lot of guides, but that's also why I wanted to launch the course on my website, because I feel like there's some people who just need a bit of extra help. So definitely reach out to some sort of a stylist or style coach who can help you the rest of the way. Or maybe even, sometimes you also have to try something new. So it could also be something like, I know right now we obviously can't really go out to the shops, but just going out into different shops and trying out something you've never tried on before. You don't have to buy anything, but just trying some new things to figure out what you like and what you don't like. That's definitely also something you could try doing. And then also following people who, you can sort of connect or relate to their style in some way. I feel like that often helps as well, because obviously working with style and fashion is very visual, so it always helps to get some inspiration somewhere as well.
For sure. And you also give consulting through the digital calls.
Yeah, I'm supposed to do that at some point, but right now I'm on a maternity leave, so I probably won't offer that before sometime later this year. And then hopefully, when COVID and lockdown is history, I'll be able to go out and give like physical meetings, at least in Denmark as well. So that's the plan anyway.
I see. All right. Talking about the minimal lifestyle, right? And we said that it is important that the person would identify their own style and create the wardrobe that fits the lifestyle and needs and activities. Would you say there is also a good size of a wardrobe that one should have? Because for me, when I think about minimal closet, I always imagine the closet that you just open the two doors and this is what you have, you know, and you can just like see exactly what you own and browse through your things. But sometimes I see those walk-in closets which are massive, and one
Yeah.
could say that, but this is my lifestyle. So what
Mm.
would you say about that?
I think, you know, it's again each to their own, but I feel like for me it's definitely made more sense to like just take away everything that didn't make me happy, or just, you know, again, I feel like I often get this question, when do you know if you have enough or if you have too much? And I feel like, you know, if you have too much clothing that you forget to wear or you don't even get the chance to wear, and you keep adding on to that, because obviously there's nothing wrong with buying new clothes every once in a while, but I feel like if you already have a huge wardrobe and you just keep on adding to that, you know, you'll have a lot of clothing that you know, no one can wear that much clothing. It's not possible. So you'll have a lot of clothes that you've maybe only worn once or twice. You'll maybe have some items that still have their tags on, and that's where it becomes wasteful, and that's where the whole problem is. So I feel like definitely having a wardrobe where you're able to see everything, and you know that, you know, it is inspiring to you, and that makes you want to reach for your favorite items and wear them. So it's definitely a balance, because obviously, like you said, you can have a huge walk-in wardrobe and that will sort of be your lifestyle, and again, you know, if that's your thing, then definitely go for that. But the whole problem is around waste, and I feel like, again, if you just keep on adding onto your massive amounts of clothing, then that is a problem.
Yes, I can definitely agree to that, and also to the fact that it has to be inspiring. So I was wondering if you have any techniques of folding or storing your items, both that it would be inspiring for you and easy to see, but also that it would preserve the quality of the garment longer.
Well, I hang most of my clothing in my wardrobe, and I have these like wire hangers, and people always give me a hard time because I use wire hangers, and there's so many people who say that, you know, it's not really good for your clothing to use those, but I've used them for years and I don't really have a problem with it. So definitely finding a good hanger, and a hanger you find suitable, and then yeah, hang most of your clothing, because when you know, the clever thing is that when you wash your clothing, you can just put it onto a hanger and then onto the line dryer and then put it directly into the closet, and the gravity will like it will naturally smooth out the surface of your item, so the need for steaming or ironing will become less. um Plus you don't have to spend too much time folding it. So I find that that's a really great way of storing your clothes. And then also you have a perfect overview of what you have, because it's all like hung next to each other rather than having it in a pile and then you sort of have to search through that. Obviously there's some items that you shouldn't hang, like knitwear, for example, because it can lose its shape. I also have like certain items that I just don't have room for hanging, like denim, like jeans and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely hanging your clothes is my top tip, I think. And just, yeah, making sure that your clothes looks nice, and that it's that it's clean, and it's, again, if you need to steam it or iron it, do it before you hang it back into your wardrobe, so that it's all ready at all times to just be taken out and to wear it.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. I myself also am a huge fan of those wire hangers.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
because I
so,
feel like you can have more, like, you can have more clothing, but it doesn't look too like bulky.
yeah, that's exactly how it works. And back in the days, I used to put several clothes on top of each other on the same hanger, but I just really wanted to see all the clothes that I had. So I
Yeah.
ended up buying those hangers.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like, I've tried the KonMari folding method, and maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I feel like even when I've done that, it still get creased. And I feel like when I use hangers, it minimizes the creases that I get on my clothes. And then I don't have, to steam it or iron it before I can wear it.
Yeah, totally. Do you think that leading this minimalist lifestyle, it's part of your essence of being in Scandinavia, and Scandinavia is known for simplistic and minimal lifestyle, or do you think it's something else?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's definitely a hot topic up here, but to me it's just, it's something that I pursued because I was out there, and I tried living the life as a designer, and I found out that that just wasn't for me, so I went completely opposite of that, I guess. So for me, it's something that I've taken upon my lifestyle along the way as I got more experienced in the fashion industry. um and I feel like in general minimalism has become like a very popular kind of lifestyle, and it's something that a lot of people know about and talk about and try to pursue. And I feel like the most important thing is definitely not to make it your religion, in that sense that you become burned out, or that you feel like it's something you can't keep up with. So to me, it's really important that people understand that there are many ways to live a minimalist lifestyle. It doesn't, they're not two lives are the same.
Yeah, totally. And as you said in the beginning, it comes from within. So once it is in there in you, you want to try
Mm,
it out on the most immediate topic that interests you. So for example, you start with the wardrobe and then you move on to
yeah.
home decor. And
Yeah, exactly. I feel like for me, it all happened because I felt this need to say goodbye to my old lifestyle of consuming a lot of clothing, and also say goodbye to that part of the industry that I didn't really relate to or didn't really want to contribute to.
mm-hmm. And talking about this industry that you're coming from, uh, what is the main challenges within fashion industry these days? And is zero waste a hot topic? And if not, why should it become a hot topic?
Yeah, well, obviously, there's the huge amounts of consumption. That's the biggest problem. Like, we consume way too much new clothing, and I think that there's like scientists that have said that we've produced so much clothing that we have enough on Earth already for the next like many years. So obviously we produce way too much, we buy way too much new clothing, and that's that I became aware of that while working as a designer. And I also often had this sense of like, oh, does it really matter? I'm just drawing style after style, and then we go to a meeting or a sales meeting, and then all these styles that I might have spent a lot of time drawing and like working extra hours, they just like get relentlessly caught away from the collection. And it's just, there's just so much waste in the fashion industry. And then obviously there's also the whole ethical issue. So the way that the clothes get made, there are a lot of people who don't even earn a living wage, and I just feel like there's so many ways in which the industry is just not fair. And yeah, I just didn't want to contribute to that. And in terms of zero waste, it's definitely something I see brands talk about more, but to me, like circular production or circular production and circular consumption is definitely the next step. I think circular consumption, it definitely means that we buy more things secondhand, but as a brand, you can also produce your collections more circularly, so that you use recycled materials, or make sure that you make items that can be fully recycled at the end of their life. So there are many ways that you can pursue that.
Totally. Do you think the take back systems coming in the fashion industry as well?
The what? The take back?
Take back systems, yeah.
I hope so. I hope it will become you know, a bigger concept. But definitely I feel like where we need to look most right now is definitely the way we produce and the way that we consume. That are the biggest issues, because I feel like the take back systems are obviously, you know, they're good, because then you make sure that the clothing that you give back, they can be recycled and turned into new clothing. But as it is right now, you can't really be sure that these old items will actually be turned into new items. Also because there are many like technical issues as far as I know. For example, if you work with different kinds of blends of materials, it's really hard to take the fibers and sort of like divide them. So that's one huge problem. There's so much clothing out there that, you know, is made of different types of fiber, definitely, especially also like man-made fibers and synthetic fibers. So I feel like there's a long way still there. But yeah, I definitely hope that that's something that will become easier for the consumer as well.
Totally. I'm just thinking about this whole huge fashion industry that we have. It's mainly about fast fashion that we're talking here. So I was wondering, what, in your opinion, what would happen to that industry if all of a sudden people turned to their wardrobes more and said, okay, I'm not going to buy new clothing for the next year?
Yeah, it's definitely hard to say what will happen. I mean, what we all want to happen, I think, is that, you know, some of the big brands will either completely turn around their way of making clothing. Like we see right now that because sustainability has become such a buzzword, there are many like fast fashion brands that actually profit from that, instead of saying, okay, well, we're gonna change the way we do business, we're gonna change the way we produce. So they just keep on producing massive amounts of fast fashion, cheap clothing. And then they make like one small collection on the side to sort of like cover their back and to say we've done something, but then also sort of like profiting from the whole problem, which is a huge problem in itself.
It is. It sounds like a vicious cycle. How do you think we
Yeah,
can break it?
it's it's really hard. I feel like, you know, obviously as consumers we have a lot of power, but for me, I don't really see how, you know, we really need the politicians to step up as well. We have to make some systemic changes as well. And obviously, again, as consumers, we have the power to vote with our money. But I feel like we also need the politicians to make some laws to protect us as consumers and to help us the last step of the way.
Mm-hmm. I really support your opinion. And I think also that a lot of the times we as consumers will face a challenge of not having the right option or not really
Mm,
knowing where to look for. Because if you just go to a regular store, um,
mm,
you will just have the options of the conventional fashion and usually
yeah.
fast fashion.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, it's really important to, yeah, like you say, we don't all have the same options. Like I really want to support my local shops. For example, there are no shops here that sell sustainably made clothing. Basically, like it's the selection is so small that I have to do most of my shopping online, which means that I can't support my local shops, which is bad, I think, because I don't want to see the local shops disappear. And then there's the whole like inclusive, you know, the whole thing with the sustainable fashion industry not being inclusive enough. You know, I just went through pregnancy and it was so hard to find maternity jeans that were ethically made, and that I also liked. So again, yeah, the representation is a huge problem as well. And like the availability is definitely, I feel like for me, I'm very privileged because I have an average sized body, so it's, I guess, easy for me, but I know it's really hard for many other people, and that's a huge problem.
Totally. No, I hear what you're saying, and for example, another challenge that I observed myself was that there are some companies who claim to make sustainable or circular jeans, but then
Mm,
the design and the fabric that they use, I know it's not going to look good on me.
Mm.
So even if I wanted to support that course and turn
Yeah.
to this circular business model, it's really hard for me.
Yeah. I think the easiest thing would probably be if like all the brands that exist today would just, change their ways and just make sustainable fashion, because then there would be
Mm-hmm.
something for everyone and for all kinds of budgets as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And when you say sustainable fashion, so what criteria do you have in mind in particular?
Sustainable fashion is a very heavy kind of topic, and I feel like it can get very technical. But for me, and also what I teach my clients through my course, is to look for certifications, like third-party certifications, to make sure that someone else has said that, or looked into this brand and made sure that they're actually doing what they're saying. And I feel like that's definitely something that a lot of, especially the huge brands, lack. They are the ones who could afford a certification, but when they don't use one, that is a little bit fishy to me. That's a way of showing that there's something here that's not completely as good as they say. So definitely look for different sorts of certifications. That could be GOTS certified organic cotton, for example. Every brand makes cotton, so that's a good one to look for. There's a lot of brands who are pursuing recycled materials, so there are different sorts of certifications within that as well to look for. To me, it's not enough when a brand just like make their own sorts of certifications and like, this is recycled, but I need to be sure that this is actually recycled. There's like this horror story that we've seen, factories taking new water bottles and then moving those water bottles to a clothing factory and then turning that into fibers, and then that's recycled plastic, and that's kind of what we want to avoid. So again, it's really, really hard for you as a consumer to navigate in, and that's where I feel like, again, you can do a lot of good as a consumer, but we really need the politicians to step up as well and protect us more. Because there's no way that we can do or like look through all of that greenwashing out there. We can't always see it. But yeah, again, sustainability is many things. It's obviously looking for better materials, but if you cannot find that because you don't feel represented with the sustainable brands, for example, because you don't like the style or you don't have the body to fit it, then I feel like looking for something in better quality, something, or might not even be better quality, but at least something you buy with the intention of holding on to it for many years, is also a sustainable way of consuming. So really, there are many ways you can try to pursue it, and I think that the most important thing is to just do your best. Again, to me, it's really important that it doesn't become a religion. We have to make room for making mistakes, because otherwise we'll just end up burning out completely.
Yes, because as the fashion and the clothes that we wear, it's a major part of our own identity.
Mm.
So it can become of a burden. But as I hear you say, it could be as simple as, first of all, using more of what you already have.
Yeah.
Second, if you need to buy something, try to look secondhand.
Mm.
And then if you cannot find it there, or if you don't feel like doing that, you should look into the clothing which are either made sustainable, or
Mm.
go for better quality items that you can hold on longer and have
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah, exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I feel like when you say better quality, there are many people who have a lower budget, for example, that say, well, I don't have the money to buy better quality. So I feel like, again, even there, you can buy items that might not be the best of quality. Obviously, you have the option of going secondhand, but even that can be hard sometimes. So again, then buying items that you're gonna love wearing over and over again, as a way to bring down your general consumption, is definitely something else you could try. So I feel like there are many different layers, there are many different directions you can pursue this way of consuming.
Absolutely, absolutely. And do you think this current global pandemic has also changed any of our habits, of consumption habits that we have?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, not necessarily to the better, because I had my low buy challenge last year, 2020. We have plenty, and we were still working with that. I feel like we can work with that like from now and then to forever almost. But I ask people what the most important lessons they learned and what kind of challenges they had throughout last year. And with the pandemic, I saw that a lot of people really struggled falling back into old habits and really turning to retail therapy. And online shopping is not dead. It's living its best life, I think, through the pandemic. And I think that many people have definitely seen a spike in their consumption of clothing, for example, because it can be a way of making them feel happier, or finding some light in the darkness. So I feel like that has definitely been a challenge. But I also think that hopefully it's made us think more about what we have and what we want to have, and like what kinds of life we want to live. I just really hope that when the pandemic is hopefully over at some point, that people will hold on to those values and not just go completely back to normal. Like it's really cliche, but we really have to ask ourselves what kind of normal it is we want to return to, I think.
I totally agree to you. And I could see those online retailers boosting their sustainability agenda throughout 2020. For example, Zalando introduced a circular fashion collection. And when I now looked for something on Zalando as well, I could see that they have an option for filtering sustainable collection. So I also think they try to make our life easier, but at the same time, if I find a sustainable brand on Zalando, I might as well just go to the brand's website and choose to buy from there, because I don't want the part of my money to go to the big retailer.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, and I also feel like it's definitely, it's a great idea to do it like that. But I've also experienced like some of like the big retailers like Zalando and other like online shops that have a lot of multi-brands. The criteria for what sustainable means is often set very low. So I feel like it's definitely a start, but I feel like they could do even better. Because sometimes
definitely.
you stumble upon a brand or an item where it doesn't really, it's very unclear for you as a consumer to see why is this sustainable.
I have seen the examples in real life. It could say on the label that it is sustainable, and then they direct it to a website where they don't have any information about the particular item.
And that's definitely the first thing that makes it fishy. Like if a brand doesn't want to share how the clothing is getting made, or how they're like, even just being honest about, we know we're not perfect, but this is the plan we have and this is what we want to do, and not hide behind heavy like CSR reports that no one understands, or just being more transparent and open about what you're not doing is something that makes me respect a brand more.
And showing the way they're going and how they are addressing those issues.
Exactly.
That they have.
Not just hiding behind like their own made up certifications or made up like keywords about sustainability.
As I'm aware, the sustainability managers, they are usually very good at ironing out the story that they want to convey.
And I feel like for many, especially like fast fashion brands or commercial brands that try to pursue more sustainability, they have a really good like PR or marketing in their business. And they're kind of like hiding behind those really fancy words and like just it's all PR, but it's not really something they're doing.
That's true. And as you said, one collection cannot compensate for the 90% of their business, so that's also something that the brand should be really targeting on.
Exactly.
In fixing, I mean.
And I mean, if you don't have a beating heart for sustainability, like if you're just, because I've seen that, like I've worked in the fashion industry for almost 7 years, in and out sort of, and I've met some people who are just like, who blindly believe that sustainability is not important, and like who to them, if fashion and clothing is just something that we need to sell and it's nothing more than that, and that's also a problem.
It is definitely. I was just thinking about the challenge or the initiative that you had for the last year, the one that you just mentioned, 2020, we have plenty. And I was just thinking to myself, like, what a year to start this campaign.
Yeah, so it was a challenge that I started back of the start of last year, because I guess at some point I just, because I work as what you would call a content creator or an influencer, whatever you want to call it. I don't really like that word, but um I was just so fed up with, I guess, both myself but also colleagues that I have in this whole business, like promoting a lifestyle but not really living it, and not really
Mhm.
leading the way and actually showing your audience the way. I feel like everyone talks about sustainability, everyone talks about better consumption, everyone talks about using what you have in your wardrobe, and I was just so fed up with no one actually doing it. So that's the main reason why I wanted to pursue that and start the challenge, because I feel like if I don't do it, then I want to obviously I live my life. What I show on my platforms is all me. Um, but I felt like for my audience, it was really important to also show them that you can actually do this, and like inspire people to try it out yourself, instead of always just talking about it, because we need to act. It's not enough to just talk about it anymore. Um, and yeah, that's why I've decided to just keep on going with that challenge, because it's actually not really a challenge anymore. Like, obviously there are the rules that I made for the challenge that you can try following if you're starting off completely from scratch, but it's actually turned more into a community as well, which is amazing. And yeah, it's just so inspiring, and it's again, this whole sense of community is definitely what keeps me going. And it's just, I'm so proud of seeing what people are trying to do, basically.
I can totally agree to you, and I have tried a couple of challenges myself, like 10 clothes for 10 days, and I did it a couple of times. Um, and I would say people are really looking for those communities,
Mm,
for someone to look up to. Okay, how do you make your capsule closet? They need some advice and some inspiration on how to maintain that as well. I
mm,
really noted that people are looking up for those examples. Yeah, just a side note, I guess, also from my personal conversations with friends, I know that 2020 year also has inspired them to change their purchasing habits, but so instead of wearing office clothes, they started buying some sports outfits, and instead of buying some other stuff, they would just stick to buying better pajamas and things like that. They
the
don't
lounge wear.
the lounge wear, and
Yeah.
they don't remember when was the last time they bought new shoes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting, because it's like this whole it's there's I've seen a boom in, like, also it's become a buzzword again, like working from home, loungewear, all of that, and how to dress up your loungewear. And as much as I love that, again, it's been scientifically proven that what we wear actually matters. So just getting up and getting dressed, even if you're not going somewhere, it really does have a huge impact on you. um Obviously, nice loungewear, it can be nice. Most of the loungewear I have is like old, worn out clothes with stains on them or holes or something. So I don't really particularly feel like the best version of myself when I wear something like that. So to me, it's really important to also get out of the loungewear and wear normal clothes, because it definitely does something to like my mental well-being and my productivity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not that
Definitely.
we have to be productive all the time, because this is a hard time for many of us, but definitely, it definitely gives my mood a boost when I wear normal clothes.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes just, as for girls, like doing our hair and putting a little bit of a makeup, maybe dressing ourselves with a bit of jewelry as well,
Mm,
that could change the whole mood and the
yeah,
productivity.
exactly.
And talking about the jewelry in particular, you also have these ethically crafted and made to order jewelry collection that you designed yourself.
Yeah,
Could you tell a bit more about the whole concept of it? I know you mentioned a little bit
yeah.
about it in the beginning, but I find it very interesting that you choose the secondary and recycled metals to work with. So maybe you could comment a bit more about the materials that you use, and why did you choose made to order type of
Yeah.
jewelry?
Well, as I said, it's a collaboration that I have with Stillnest, who is a German jewelry brand, or they've turned into more of a jewelry brand. Before they actually started out being more like a brand that collaborates with creative people on making different sorts of products. But I think they've decided to focus more on the jewelry part now, and also turning their own name into a real jewelry brand. But they contacted me 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago and offered me this collaboration. And as a former designer, it was something that I didn't have to think long before I accepted. But obviously, it was really important to me that there were some clear sustainable values within that whole thing. So yeah, as soon as I made sure that they had they're part of something called Responsible Jewelry Council, or the goldsmiths that they use and that produce the jewelry are part of the sustainable or the Responsible Jewelry Council. So that was one thing that was really important to me. And then obviously also the materials. So like you said, we use some recycled materials like recycled gold. We use some recycled silver as well. And then obviously the whole idea is to make jewelry in great quality and in designs that are meant for you to be able to love them for a long time. So we've launched a couple of collections along the way, but the whole idea and what we tend to go back to all the time is the versatility, so that you can mix and match across collections, but you're also able to sort of play with the jewelry and come up with new combinations yourself. So for example, we have these small pendants that you can both wear in earrings. For example, you can apply them to a pair of hoops, but you can also wear them in a necklace. So again, this whole mix and match idea was something that I really wanted to pursue, again, because I feel like it's a product of the way I work with fashion and my wardrobe as well. So yeah, we've basically built on top of that, and now I'm just so happy that I have the opportunity to still work with them, also because I work with them on more than just the jewelry brand. I feel like we work very closely together in terms of sustainability and keep inspiring each other on how we can improve like both ways, and just keep the conversation going. So I feel like part of the family now, and I'm so excited to see where they're going to take the business as well, because they have a lot of things on the plate and a lot of things that they want to improve on and pursue this year. So yeah.
Well, I hope then that it will reach their goals, and I'm very happy to hear about this whole longevity aspect of the jewelry brands. I know usually it's very temporary, at least young people wear jewelry in such way, but I myself, I'm a huge supporter of long-term jewelry items that can perish and even pass on to next generations.
Exactly. Yeah. We actually made a whole collection called Heirlooms, which was pieces that were inspired by pieces from my husband's late grandmother. And the whole idea was because we offer it in different sorts of materials, so we have something for every sort of budget. So we have solid silver, and we have gold vermeil, which is basically a thick plating of gold on sterling silver. And this year we're actually going to introduce a repair service, so that if the gold will rub off, it takes a lot, but if it will rub off, you can send the jewelry and we will replate it for you. So again, keeping the longevity in mind. And then we also offer it in solid gold, which is of course often very expensive for many people. But again, you get a lifetime piece that you can maybe pass on to someone. I have a few heirloom pieces myself, which, the pieces that are very, very special to me. So we really wanted to dive into that as a way of making jewelry.
That's a really great initiative, and I think we need more of those brands in the whole fashion industry.
Definitely.
All right. So I would like to move on to the part of my interview where I ask 5 questions one by one, and I ask you to finish the sentence.
Yeah. Great.
All right. So let's start with the first statement. To me, sustainability is?
Oh yeah, it's a heavy question. to me, it's like a way of making sure that we leave the planet in a great condition for, future generations. And it's obviously something that I've thought a lot about all along the way, but now I have a daughter, and it's become even more important to me to think about what kind of planet I'm leaving behind for her. So it's something that we all need to contribute to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can just echo you in saying that that's also how I see sustainability aspect. That's ensuring today's generation needs, but also with a focus on the future generations and making sure that they have enough as well.
Yeah, and also just being kind to people in all walks of life, like in all different countries, like the production countries, and just being more fair, I think. And yeah, being more kind to people and the planet. It's really cliche, but it's really what it is to me.
Mm-hmm. Then on the follow-up note on this one, the second statement is, one thing I would like to see more of in the world is?
I think inclusivity, probably. And I think last year it was something that we, with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, it's something that more people became aware of, and it's like opened the conversation even more, not only in terms of like the Black Lives Matter movement, but also like the transgender society and like everything. I feel like it's something that people talk about, and I would like to see even more inclusivity in the world, because we've been brought up, many of us, with this like vision of having to look a certain way or be a certain way, and I would like to see us leave that behind.
Mm-hmm. Especially that we are living in a globalized world, and there's
that
so
there's
much
more
going
room
on.
for everyone, and just like more openness and more kindness towards that.
That's true. Then the next statement is, for a complete beginner in the sustainability area, I would suggest to start off with.
Yeah, I would probably suggest to start off with just looking within, like looking at your lifestyle and what kind of life you're living. For me, like there's this quote, like it's not about what you want to do, but it's about what kind of life you want to live. So everything you say yes to, does that contribute to the kind of life you want to live? Even if it's like products you bring into your home, do they contribute to the kind of life you want to live? Yeah.
That's a very strong one. I think it definitely puts the ground for like the overall decisions in your life.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And what would you say if people start thinking like, but maybe it's too challenging for me, or I don't have enough budget to do the exact decisions that I would like to in the ideal scenario? What would you say to that?
Again, I feel like it's really, really important that you don't turn sustainability or minimalism into this ridiculous kind of religion that you cannot uphold, because that's when you're gonna burn out. And I think in general, the whole like sustainability movement and the whole minimalist movement, we need to be more open-minded about the fact that everyone has different starting points. So you can do a little bit, and even just like being aware of where you can improve, but maybe not being completely able to pursue that is that's the first step, and one of the most important steps, like being aware and then taking action step by step. But you can't do everything all at once.
And no one should feel pressured into.
Exactly. Like I also just want to say, like minimalism it's not going to cure all of the problems you have in your life just by decluttering your home and throwing out a lot of things. It's definitely something that, again, you have to connect with it on a deeper level, and again, you need to make sure you also take care of yourself along the way and don't burn out, because you want to be there for the long haul.
That's true. That's very important as well.
Yeah.
Moving away from the personal life into more of an overall industry, what would you say to the fourth statement? And that is, every sustainable business.
Yeah, I feel like every sustainable business, like a sustainable business to me, is one that, like I said before, is open and honest about what they're not doing. but definitely also really trying to like have sustainability as a core value and not just like a side thing that they can profit off on the side. So again, like certifications and transparency is definitely like the most important factors to me. And then I would say that every sustainable business should also be more inclusive in terms of sizing. I feel like that's a huge problem, and that's the next thing that we should be looking at.
Definitely. That's one of the areas that is usually overlooked. So I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally. So talking about the future, in 2 to 3 years, I see fashion industry.
Oh, yeah, that's really hard to say where we are in 2 to 3 years. I'm afraid that we're going to see a lot more greenwashing before it gets better. I'm afraid that we're going to see a lot more fast fashion brands profit of sustainability as something they're doing to change the world, but really they're not really doing the work. But I guess sometimes, I'm not sure if it's because things have to get worse before it gets better. But I would like to see the fashion industry like saying goodbye to fast fashion altogether and not just like trying to profit from the problem. Yeah, I would like to see it become a lot more circular as well, like being more creative being more creative about the way that you're making collections. Like if it were me who had a huge like brand, I know it's probably hard. It's a lot easier said than done, but I would like look into the possibility of offering people to rent or swap clothing with each other, or something like that. Become a lot more circular.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Signe, is there anything that you felt we haven't touched upon during this conversation, or is there any key takeaway you would like everyone to take from this conversation?
I would definitely like people to be more open-minded and like pursue minimalism and sustainability, little by little, and wherever they are, like start completely where you are and don't let yourself feel pressured by the movement, because it can feel kind of tough sometimes. And again, like I said before, you want to be here for the long haul. You want to be able to keep on like pursuing this lifestyle and contribute to the good way of consuming. So make sure you don't burn yourself out completely. Like it's definitely a balance, because obviously we all need to challenge ourselves and the way we've been brought up to how we're consuming. But it's definitely a balance that you have to keep up with, so we don't burn out.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What would be your key practice to keep yourself in balance?
For me, like if we're talking about style, for example, it's really like important that I just keep reassuring myself that I have more than enough and that my style is good enough as it is, and it presents me, and it sort of contributes to my overall well-being. So yeah, just like make sure you follow some inspiring people who bring that up in you, and like say goodbye to any accounts that make you feel bad or make you feel like you people that are living a lifestyle that you cannot keep up with, and that it just makes you feel bad. And then invite more of the good stuff into your life.
I definitely agree to that. So once again, if people resonate, and I am pretty sure a lot of people will resonate to our talk today, and they find you as an inspiring person, where can they find you?
They can find me on my blog called uselesswardrobe.dk, or on Instagram at useless_dk. And then YouTube, also just useless. So yeah, feel free to come say hi. That would make me happy.
That would make me happy very much as well. I would like to see more people following the conscious lifestyle and being inspired by the minimalism. And as you very well said, being content with yourself and being sure that you are good enough.
Exactly.
Signe, thanks a lot for your time and this lovely talk. I found it super inspiring, and I'm very, very happy to have had you here today. I'm super humbled and grateful for your time, and thanks a lot for sharing all your best knowledge and experience with us.
Yeah, sure. Anytime. Thanks for having me again.